So let's talk about just a handful of music discovery tools. Now, one thing I want to say about what I mean by discovery is partly, well, it's about simply discovering music and finding new ways of hearing it. But it's also about finding out the wider context about music. So some of these things are purely music services and some are more information services. And once again, I'm pretty sure you will have heard of pretty much, if not all of these, because everyone uses them pretty much. Having said that, let's go right in with the biggie. If you want to find out about anything online, you are probably going to use Google. And while Google does have its detractors, and I understand why it does, it remains, I think, an extraordinary tool, and one which you should be aware that all your pupils will be using every day of their life to simply find stuff out. And if you're not a big searcher for information and perhaps only use Google for things that, for practical reasons in your life, I really recommend that you just use it for a little while to see how easy it is to find stuff out. Broadly speaking, it's going to show you it's very easy to find stuff out, and it's going to point largely at the next resource that I'm going to talk about. But I do also suggest that it will point out to you what it's not easy to get to, and I'm going to come to that at the end of this section. So I said Google would almost certainly take you to a certain place, and I think you know where that is, and that's Wikipedia. Now, again, like Google, Wikipedia has many detractors, and as I said earlier, it's a service which someday may be superseded, but I would suggest that it's an extraordinary resource, and many academic papers have been written on the veracity of individual or collective entries in Wikipedia, and I think the smart money is on the fact that it is, broadly speaking, as accurate, if not more accurate, than most paper reference materials, and it's at your pupils' fingertips, which makes it rather different. Now again, I think it comes with a challenge, and I'm going to come on to that later on. But be really clear, I wish I'd had, as that 18-year-old up in Preston wanting to learn about, I'm going to say it again, Messiaen and the Mixolydian scale and Miles Davis, I wish I had Wikipedia. In terms of tools which children and young people are using to listen to music, well, the one which has emerged as pretty much world-beating over the last 2 or 3 years, although I think the kids have been using it for possibly half a decade or more now, is YouTube. And that for some still remains something which is counterintuitive. One assumes that YouTube is there for video clips and not purely audio. But all the evidence points to the fact that most young people are mostly using YouTube to find out, to listen to music and indeed find out about music. When I talk a little bit later on about self-publishing, I'm going to come back to YouTube because I think it serves a dual function, and one that again comes with one or two problems that I think we need to think about really profoundly. But be aware that your pupils will be using YouTube to listen to music and to find out about new music. And I think again, if you're planning lessons, you need to be aware of what materials are available on YouTube that can back you up, because that's where your pupils are going to go. I think it's important to mention the BBC at this point. Again, full disclosure, I spent 5 years of my life at the BBC actually working with their digital music offering. Well, I think few would disagree that what the BBC offers online is remarkable across a variety of spheres, but not the least in music. Of course, the BBC is well known for some of the best music radio stations in the world, from pop music right through to classical and so on. Those radio networks are represented very fully online, and more importantly, I think all their content is aggregated and pointed to by a central BBC Music portal, and I think it remains an incredibly good resource. And given that your pupils are almost certainly using the BBC for revision in other areas, I'm sure that they're going to be going to the BBC to find reference materials and of course to listen to music. So it's a very rich resource and one that I again recommend that you get all over. So finally, a couple of more commercial propositions. Once again, it may be that either very soon or in the midterm, Spotify is no longer the dominant, if you like, jukebox offering online. And certainly Spotify does come with some problems. I would suggest that certainly for classical music, it's often difficult to navigate and find what you're looking for. And there are unquestionably holes in its inventory. But it is nonetheless an extraordinary resource for simply listening to music. And really as a sort of corollary, if you like, to Spotify, I would recommend Amazon. Now, again, I think that's slightly counterintuitive, because for most, Amazon probably seems like nothing more than an e-commerce platform, albeit a world-beating and rather brilliant one that most of us, I suspect, use. But it is also a treasure trove of information. Now, I'm very clear about the fact that Amazon use that information to drive sales. That's what they do. They're a shop. But it's information nonetheless. And when it comes to music, it has extraordinarily rich information around album and digital music releases. Very interesting and widely sourced, both mainstream reviews and user reviews, which I think really help people build up a fuller picture of music, really from the listener's point of view. And in the end, that if you like this, then you may well like this kind of recommendation is the sort of recommendation that we've always had, I think, from the best teachers and our best friends, and how we've always found out about music. It's just Amazon have found a way of doing that with maths. And lastly, I want to turn to a couple of outliers, if you like, in this area, but I think are very important. And again, these I am going to cover when it comes to publishing, but they're important in terms of discovery. I think that SoundCloud has become probably one of the most important, if not the most important, self-publishing platform for audio right now. And it is, I'm going to say again, I can use the same phrase, but a treasure trove of material. And I think a very useful way for young people to find out about some of the music that other young people are making. Similarly, I think it's worth pupils checking out Vimeo, which is an alternative video hosting platform to YouTube, with generally higher quality film and some remarkable content. So they're some of the mainstream tools that I think your pupils are already using to find out about stuff and to listen to it.